Okay, Be'ezrat Hashem, Na'aseh v'natzliach. I want to welcome you to the Beacon Tower Lunch and Learn. Baruch Hashem, we're starting our fourth cycle of this learning of Parashat Shavua. Every week we get together and we learn the weekly Torah portion. This week's Parashat is Parashat VaYera. Before we get started with the Torah learning, I would just want to give an honorable mention to H&M Builders and to the Dornbush family for giving us, for allowing us the use of their headquarters, the use of the space. Be'ezrat Hashem, that you have continued success, bracha v'atzlacha, health, wealth, happiness. Be'ezrat Hashem, b'sorot tovot. I also want to give an honorable mention to Judah Mendel. Be'ezrat Hashem, that Hashem bless him. Amen. With bracha v'atzlacha v'shoot bimhera for putting all this together. And now also, just when you think he contributed enough, now the class doesn't start without a bottle of wine and some nachos. He classes up the joint. We have also sometimes we get some pastrami from downtown. It's very nice. Baruch Hashem. Also, want to give an honorable mention to Hummus Factory for giving us our this beautiful spread every single week.
Yeah,
Be'ezrat Hashem, that business and that the people over there that are involved have continued success in all they do, and also to all of you guys here that took the time out to come all the way over here to learn with us. Hashem varech atkhem, sameach atkhem, continued success in all you do. Bracha v'atzlacha v'bsorot tovot. And to our special guest, my son, Benjamin Lankry. Hashem varech otcha v'sameach otcha. Ta lemala, ma'ala, baruch Hashem b'yeridah. Be'ezrat Hashem, the same way that today is your birthday and you give us a blessing, may Hashem bless you 1,000,000 times over. Amen. Birkot Torah. Okay, amen. Let's begin the learning. Well, this also should be to the Ilu Nishmat of David ben Zohara, Yaniv ben Rina, Moshe Levi ben Shoshana, and Shmuel ben Amuma, and to the Tzlacha of Stacy Esther bat Esther and Guy ben Dina. Okay, so this week's parasha is Parashat VaYera. Before we get talking about the parasha, let's talk about the feeling of what's going on over here. Before we even learn the parasha, how do we feel? So here it is. We just finished the holiday season. Up until last week, I can still hear in my hair, up until like a few days ago, I even started to feel the Sisu v'simchu v'simchat Torah. That's it, in my ear. I'm still hearing the holidays. Now all of a sudden, it seems like we landed. It seems like, you know, we've come down to earth from the high holiday season, and it's back to normal. Where do we see that? We see that in Parashat Lech Lecha. What's Lech Lecha? The parasha begins Lech Lecha me'artzecha. It tells you, it tells Avraham, "V'yomer Hashem el Avraham, Lech Lecha me'artzecha u'mimoladetecha u'mbet avicha el ha'aretz asher areka." What do we see? We see Avraham Avinu saying, "Hey, get out of your, take yourself out of your land, away from your relatives, away from your father's house." In other words, take yourself out of your comfort zone. It's time to go, which is the instruction for us. Parashat Lech Lecha is actually an instruction for us. Leave your comfort zone. That's it. The holidays are over. The new year started. There's all these things that are going to come around. Work, personal, zivugim, parnasa, yeladim, shlom bayit, hardships, successes. It's all about to happen. Lech lecha, go, start. The year started. And having said that, we begin last week and we complete this week the trials of Avraham Avinu. There's a machloket, how many trials, but it's more commonly understood that he had 10 trials. As a matter of fact, Chazal tell us that the whole book of Bereshit, the whole Sefer Bereshit, is under one tagline: Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim. What is Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim? Maaseh Avot means the actions of our forefathers, the doings of our forefathers are Siman Lebanim. They are an instruction to the children, or they're a guidance to the children. In other words, whatever we're going to see right now of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, it's actually for us to see this instruction of how for us to behave. As a matter of fact, if you take the word, the sentence, Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim, and you just take the first letter from each word, it spells out the full name of the Yetzer Hara. It's Samech Mem and Aleph Lamed. I'll do it for you. Maaseh Avot, there's the Mem, there's the Aleph. Siman Lebanim, there's the Samech and there's the Lamed. It's his full name. His name is an angel. We know him as the devil, the Yetzer Hara, Malach HaMavet. But his actual proper name as an angel, we don't like to say it, but I'll spell it out. And even though you have to spell it out with a space in between, it's the Samech Mem, as he's commonly known, and the Aleph Lamed. How do you beat that guy? How do you defeat him? Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim. Follow the footsteps of your forefathers. You'll be able to defeat him. That's the secret. We always feel that we have an enemy. How do we beat the enemy? We already have the formula. We got it. You don't have to overthink it. Having said that, this book started with Bereshit, Noach. We saw the lessons of Adam HaRishon, Chava, the snake, Noach, which were all good lessons. And we all had something that we learned from it. Baruch Hashem, every week we came back and we were able to learn something from it. But now, it's time to press record. Now, it's time to press record because these are things that are Maaseh Avot. These are things that we have to understand. This is the root of our success. The DNA of the Jewish people starts here with our forefathers. And in this week's parasha, the first one, Avraham Avinu. So when it says Maaseh Avot, the ways of the fathers, is Siman Lebanim, is the instruction for the children, we see that in this week's parasha, combination, a little bit from last week, a little bit from this week, Lech Lecha and VaYera, we see the 10 trials of Avraham Avinu. In other words, 10 different scenarios that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put Avraham in, and we get to see, front row seat, how Avraham Avinu dealt with each situation. And with each one, you can learn. There's 10 of them. As a matter of fact, I'll list them. First one, out of the 10 trials of Avraham, was Lech Lecha Me'artzecha. Get out of your comfort zone. Leave your land, leave your family, leave everything that you've known your entire life and go where? I don't know. It's very difficult. It's like as if I'm telling you, pack up your entire life and start walking. Where? It doesn't matter. Just start walking. Who does that nowadays? Who does that? Even if you ask the most pious and frum Jew, he's going to think twice. It's not a normal thing to do. Yet, Avraham Avinu, no questions asked, gets up and go. Wow, that's passing a big test. Even nowadays. Even though we saw that it's been done before, and we know that it's the right way to be, still very difficult. For Avraham, it wasn't. The next trial was Mitzrayim. What would happen over there? There was a famine. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him, I'm going to go for yourself. You're going to go to a land that I'm going to give you, and you're going to have land, and you're going to have riches, and you're going to have everything that you need. First time, the first stop after leaving, he gets to where? Rav, famine, no food. He promised me everything. You bring me to a place where there's no food, and what happens? It forces Abraham to go to where there is food. Where is there food? Mitzrayim. It's like I'm telling you, the only place where there is food is Vegas. Vegas? That's where you're going to go? All the way to Vegas to get food? What are you going to do? That's where there's food. We can't die, right? We have to go eat. He gets to Mitzrayim. What happens in Mitzrayim? Paro takes Sarah, his wife, captive. He tries to bring her in because she was one of the most beautiful women to ever live in the world. And the people noticed her beauty. Right away they said, wow, she has the beauty worthy of a king. They take her to the king. He's like, wow, yes, this one's for me. And he wants to marry her. And he takes Sarah from Avraham Avinu. What a trial. Imagine, you have a beautiful wife, you're married, you're going to following the ways of Hashem, all of a sudden an evil king grabs your wife. It's a hard trial. It's not easy. You continue. And after that, we have the trial of Milchemet Arba Melachim. What happens over there? Lot's cousin gets kidnapped. He gets taken hostage. And he gets taken hostage by the 4 kings. And what happens with the 4 kings? Avraham has to go fight these 4 kings in order to release the hostage family member. What a trial. Last week we spoke about it in detail, about the 5 kings and the 4 kings and the type of fight that it was. 5th trial, he had to take Hagar leisha because Sarah is akara. Imagine, you have the most beautiful woman in the world. She's your wife. She's a tzaddiket. She's pious. You have the perfect relationship. You can't have children. What are you going to do? You marry the maid. You take the maid. Not necessarily the maid. Hagar was the daughter of Paro. The daughter of Paro. As a matter of fact, Hagar, when after Avraham and Sarah were over there, he says it's better that my daughter be with someone like Avraham, who Hashem is protecting him, than to be over here with the Mitzrayim. Imagine, he's the king of Mitzrayim. It's better that she be a slave to him, or a maid to him, or a servant to him, than to be a princess in Mitzrayim. So even though she was from royalty, but still she was a maid. And he had to marry her and to have a child with her. It's a very difficult trial. Imagine, you walk into the house, there's your wife, and there's the maid. And they're both your wives. Furthermore, he had a lot of physical challenges. At the age of 99, Avraham Avinu had to get circumcised. Can you imagine? I can tell you, I cannot imagine it, but I could imagine it. Because I had a friend of mine in New York, maybe 20 years ago, who converted in his mid-30s. He converted. And part of his conversion was to get circumcised. And I saw a grown man go through that process. First of all, they have to put you down in surgery. They have to put you down. And after that, there's recovery. You can't laugh. You can't sit. You can't walk properly. Don't think it's like a little kid that they just put the diaper on him and a little bit of geffen in his mouth. Okay, move on with it. You don't do that to a 35-year-old. To a 35-year-old, it was a long, long process. Okay, I remember it was being maybe 30 days into it, he came back to maybe looking normal, walking normal. But he always said it took him a long time to heal. Avraham Avinu, 99. 99, no anesthesia, no nothing. Doing it to himself. And to all his people. That's a physical challenge. Imagine. Maybe you can be mentally strong. Maybe you can be spiritually strong. But physically strong too? 7th trial. Sarah gets taken again. This time by Avimelech. Can't catch a break. He goes from one king to another king. This king also wants her for the wife. So imagine, again, you have to deal with your beautiful wife taken by an evil king. And you know, kings have a lot of power. What are you going to do? 8th trial. Gireshet Hagar. It was very, very difficult for Avraham to get rid of Hagar, who happened to be his wife, whether you like it or not, and happened to be the one who made him a father. Because she gave birth to Ishmael. Ishmael made Abraham a dad. Hagar was the mother, was also his wife. Whether you like it or not, there is personal interconnections that happen with human beings. It's not so simple to say, thank you very much, after 13 years, go on your way. It was a very, very hard challenge from Avraham Avinu, to be followed by the 9th challenge of the distancing of himself from his only son, Ishmael. Hakat beno Ishmael. I'm sorry, not from his only son, from his first son, Ishmael. So imagine, it's that kid, your firstborn, that every year you're with him. 13 years there was nobody. 13 years it was just you and him. He was, on his lap, taking him hand by hand, playing with him, teaching with him, giving him the Brit Milah at 13. And now you got to tell him, okay, my son, you have to go. Very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. So difficult that he asked Hashem for advice. What did he tell him? Whatever Sarah tells you, you must do. Very difficult. And just when you thought it was all over, comes the 10th challenge, which comes in the 7th aliyah of this week's parasha. It comes Akedat Yitzchak. that Hashem asks Avraham Avinu to take his firstborn from Sarah, his beloved, his only Yitzchak, to do what? To be brought on top of an altar. In other words, here, to be brought on top of an altar, to be slaughtered like an animal as a sacrifice to God. I don't know about you, but I don't think anybody, even today, with a sane mind, would do that to their child. Over here we have Avraham Avinu, Vayashkem Avraham Baboker. Avraham woke up early in the morning to do it. He woke up early. No second thoughts. That's what Hashem wants. That's what Hashem will do. How do you get to this level? How do you get to this level that you can bring yourself to take your firstborn, your beloved child, to bring him as a sacrifice on the altar and be ready to do it willingly from beginning to end? Don't get me wrong, if you look at the details of Akedat Yitzchak, there's a lot of resistance there from his physicality, but he went against it. And there's others' opinion that say that the hardest challenge was also that right after this, his wife died. So imagine you lose a wife. 10 trials. Even just hearing about it, you get a little bit anxious, a little bit stressed out. Wow, Avraham Avinu. And if you take a look at every single one of those things of how he interacted, you can learn something. There's no question. Every single there, if you ever get into a situation like Avraham Avinu, open that page. What did Avraham do? That's exactly what you're supposed to do. From Avraham Avinu, we learn how to deal with life. Not only here. Not only here. We're going to learn it from many other life coaches. But Avraham Avinu is beginning to teach us how to deal with life. As a matter of fact, Chazal tell us that each trial led to the next trial. In other words, each one took him to a higher level, to a higher level, to a higher level. He was building up his tolerance to nisyonot, to challenges, so you can pass one by one. In other words, if we put Akedat Yitzchak first, who knows? Who knows? It was a build-up. Each challenge made you stronger for the next challenge. Each challenge made you stronger for the next challenge. Avraham is basically what he was doing over here. He was planting a seed for all the drawing a map for all the future generations to come. In other words, he's showing us little by little that in life you're going to have a challenge. It's going to make you stronger. Then you're going to go to a bigger challenge, but you're strong enough for it. And you're going to go to another challenge. It's even harder that you never thought you can deal with it. But the two challenges before it made you strong enough. And little by little, you're able to withstand the things that are the most impossible. It's possible. Why? Avraham Avinu did it. Avraham Avinu planted that seed for us in Sefer Bereshit. So later on, thousands of years later, we can be here in a lunch and learn in Beacon Tower in Aventura to say, I can do it too. Avraham Avinu showed me how. Furthermore, it says, let's revisit that concept of Maseh Avot Siman Lebanim. You have to understand, if you go with this master key into Sefer Bereshit, you'll understand everything. Maseh Avot, anything that Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aharon, no, I'm sorry, let's do the Avot. Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov did are basically a blueprint for you how to deal with your life. Everything is there. Business, it's there. Family, it's there. Raising children, it's there. War, it's there. Anything that you want to deal with in everyday life, Avraham, Yitzchak, and in-laws, it's there. Children, it's there. Everything is there. It's all planted in these parashiyot, and all you have to do is you have to extract the lesson into your own life, and you got the master key. They gave us the map of how to deal with things. Having said that, it says every action in our forefathers' lives was a precedent for a similar event which would occur to their children in the future. Everything that happened to them is going to happen to you. Yes. Everything that happened to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov is going to happen to you. In a different way, in a different variation, a different story, a 2019 version, 1400 version, similar, just in a different dressing. It says whatever happened to Avraham and Sarah in Egypt will also, I'll give you an example of Ma'aseh Avot Siman and Banim. I'm going to take one example and I'm going to show you. Everything that happened to Avraham and Sarai over there, Avraham and Sarai in Egypt and Mitzrayim, will be a parallel event in the history for their descendants. Let me show you. It says, Avraham went down to Egypt because of famine, right? Because there was a rav in the land. What happened? Yaakov's children similarly went to Egypt because of the famine, right? How did the Jewish people get to Mitzrayim? There was a famine. Abraham went first because of the famine. The Jewish people are going to go there because of the famine as well. Just as Sarai guarded herself to be modest and to act in tzniut when she was with Paro in Egypt, because remember, Paro says, hey, you're mine, and he's trying to advance and trying to do, and she acted completely in tzniut, and Hashem protected her. There was an angel that every time he would come to get close, he'd get hit. Every time he tried to get close, he'd get hit. So it says over here, similarly, the Jewish women in Egypt would guard themselves from stooping to morality. There was not one woman in all of Egypt that ever lowered her morality. 210 years, the Jewish woman stayed holy in Mitzrayim, except for Shulamit, the one that stood outside and said hello, and there was the whole story with the Mitzri. Besides her, all the 210 years, the woman in Egypt, snuot, covered up, don't talk to goyim, stay inside the house, everything proper. Why? Because when Sarah was in Egypt, she kept her tzniut. When her daughters were in Egypt, they kept their tzniut. When Sarah was in Egypt and Paro tried to be with her, he got makot. When the Jewish people were in Egypt, they also got what? Makot, the Egyptians. Remember, how many makot do we have? Eiser makot. They said the makot is from that also. Paro was smitten for attempting to harm Sarai. Paro would be plagued from harming Bnei Yisrael, the same way that Paro wanted to harm Sarah. Later on, he was Bnei Yisrael. There's one more over here. It says, the same way that Avraham was dismissed from Paro with great riches. Remember, when Avraham left Mitzrayim, when Sarah was taken by the guards of Mitzrayim to Paro, what did he give him? He gave him donkeys, he gave him camels, he gave him cattle, he gave him riches, he gave him slaves. So he says the same way that when Avraham went to Paro and he gave him all this booty, he gave him all this treasure, all this money. Similarly, Bnei Yisrael, when they leave Egypt, what did they get? The Jewish people left Egypt, how? Rich. From rags to riches, from slaves to billionaires, overnight. Ma'aseh Avot Siman Lebanim. Says over here, I want to crystallize, I want you to see it clearly what this concept is. I'm going to zoom in on two events out of the trials of Avraham. Again, we could spend here weeks going on all the events, and there's not enough. It's so beautiful. Maybe as I time the 5th cycle, the 6th cycle, the 7th cycle, if Mashiach doesn't come by tonight. But there's two events that I want to zoom into. When Avraham Avinu, when Lot was captive in the 4 Melachim, we have Avraham Avinu going to rescue Lot and going to fight with the Melachim. And then we have another event when Sarah is taken captive. There's another event when Sarah is taken captive, and Paro, she's in Paro's castle, and we see that Avraham, what does Avraham do? Nothing. When his wife is taken captivity to Paro, he does nothing. When his brother-in-law gets taken into captivity by the 4 kings, He picks up and he starts to fight. How did Abraham act in these similar situations differently? One time, his wife got taken captive. The other time, Lot got taken captive. One time he gets up to fight. The other time, we don't see anything that it was done over there. So let's see. What's the difference? So, why was Sarah taken by Paro? Because of her beauty. Because of her physicality. Paro wanted her. Right? And it says over there that when she was taken, what was the action? Sarah, what did she do? She started to pray. And what did Abraham do? The Midrash says he also, wherever he was praying. Praying to Hashem, release my wife. And Sarah is saying, please release me. Please Hashem, release me from this evil man that is trying to come on to me. On the other scenario, with the 4 kings with Lot, what's the story over there? Last week we spoke about Amarfel. Who's Amarfel? We said Amarfel is Nimrod, right? Why is he called Amarfel? Because he said, Amar Pol. He said, fall. He told Avraham Avinu, go, fall into the burning furnace. So his name is it's Nimrod. When you see the word the name Amarfel, it's another name for Nimrod. So Amarfel, who has a history with Nimrod. Remember last week we spoke all about Nimrod and all the history together. He says, you know what? I have unfinished business with Abraham. This guy gave it to me a couple of times, embarrassed me in my own castle. This guy's also going around saying that I'm not a god. He's going around saying that Avodah Zarah is fake. He's going around saying that there's only one God, that I built the Tower of Babel to go fight that God. You know what? This time, this is personal. I got to get rid of this guy. Nimrod has a personal vendetta with Avraham Avinu. So what does he do? He wants to trap Avraham. How does he do it? He captures Lot. By the way, Lot and Avraham looked identical. They were very similar in their face. So Lot gets captured by Nimrod. In order for what? In order to lure Avraham to Amarfel, so he can come and save him, and then he will kill him. Why? Why does Amarfel want to kill Avraham Avinu? Because he wants to end the beginning of monotheism. He wants to end the start of one God in the world. You understand? That's what was Avraham promoting? Hashem. Everywhere he goes, Hashem. Do you hear about Hashem? Do you know Hashem? He's spreading the word of promoting Kadosh Baruch Hu, which is going against completely what Nimrod stands for. Nimrod says, I created the stars, I created the moon, the whole world. I am the king. I'm the creator. So he needs the guy that's promoting the other team. He wants to kill him off, kill him completely. At that point, when Lot was captured by Nimrod, did Avraham pray? No prayer. What does it say over there, like we learned last week? He grabbed 318 soldiers and he went to fight. We even said that it's not even 318. He just went with Eliezer. Eliezer is Gematria 318. So imagine Avraham and Eliezer and some sand. The Midrash says they would grab sand, throw it, and when it turned into it would turn into arrows. Could you imagine? Why? Why would that be Avraham's reaction to go and fight? Because here, he didn't go after the physicality. Here, Nimrod went after the spirituality. Here, he went after the belief in God. Here, he went after the religion. Here, he went after the ruchaniyut. So we see that when it comes to somebody wanting to hurt us physically, pray. Like the Arabs right now, they're throwing all those rockets.
1:30, my mom, she said.
Right? Pray. They want to kill us, right? They want to destroy our bodies. Pray. But if somebody comes like Hitler that wants to, I'm sorry, not Hitler. Somebody that wants to go after our spirituality, that you get up and fight. Okay, it's very interesting. So, to crystallize this point a little bit more, Matai tefillah, matai milchama. When do you pray and when do you fight? So we said, when the threat is physical, like Paro, you pray. When the threat is spiritual, like the 4 kings and Nimrod, you fight. Okay, I can get that. I need to see it a little bit clearer. And it's amazing because 2 of the biggest holidays in Judaism, the holidays that are going to continue after Mashiach, are what?
Hanukkah.
And?
Purim.
Very good.
Because it's Purim, yeah.
So let's dissect these 2 holidays. What's Purim? Purim is the story of Haman, שרצה להשמיד, להרוג, לאבד, right? He wanted, Haman, what did he want? He didn't care if we put on tefillin, Haman. Haman didn't care if we kept Shabbat. Haman didn't care if we ate matzot. What did he want? He says, I want them physically gone from the world. He wants the goof, he wants the body. What did the Jewish people do in Purim? They prayed. They prayed. When you want the body, pray. In Hanukkah, what was Hanukkah? It was a fight. Against who? The Romaim. What they want? They wanted us to be mityavnim. They didn't want to kill us. No, live with us. Be with us. But act like us. Think like us. They tell you, oh, you have a book, you have a Torah. It's another book on the shelf. Now let's fill it up with another 100 philosophy books. It's another philosophy. There, they wanted to kill our spirituality. They wanted to desensitize us. They started to make us behave like them, act like them. What happened over there? War! What kind of a war? Hashmonaim. Another interesting war. 12 Hashmonaim versus a huge army. You know, right here I start to think, you see Avraham Avinu, 318 soldiers and Avraham Avinu versus 4 kings. I scratch your head, it's a little bit outnumbered, no? Hashmonaim, 12 brothers against a huge army. Where do they get the guts to get up and say, I can do it? Where? Even today, tell me, even if you have all the weaponry, even if your car is filled up, even if you got guns all over you and you get say, me against the army, let's go. It's impossible for 12 people to defeat an army. It's impossible for Avraham and Eliezer to defeat 4 kings. But how do you get to that state of mind that you believe that you can do it, and in the end, it's done? This is very interesting. In Perek Yudalet, and keep in mind, what we're doing over here is we're discovering ourselves. We are discovering our life coaches. Avraham is our first life coach. Yitzchak is going to be our second. Yaakov is going to be the third, and after that we have other life coaches like Moshe, Aharon, we have Yoshua, then we have the Melachim, then we have the rabbis. We have all the rabbis up until your local rabbi in your shul. That's your life coach.
Sharone Lankry.
What's happening over here? We want to find out where is the source to how we act. Where is the source to how we think? Where is the source to this Judaism that we're living, and is the master key to our success? So over here we're asking a question. I want to find out how those Jews, how those 12 Hashmonaim had enough guts to go fight an army. How did Avraham and 318 soldiers, or just Avraham and Eliezer, get the guts to go fight 4 kings? So for that, we go to Perek Yudalet. Perek Yudalet, Pasuk Hey and Vav. It says over here, says that Avraham Avinu is being told by Kadosh Baruch Hu to go outside and count the stars. He tells them, go outside and count the stars. I'm sorry, the pasuk escapes me. It says, V'sfor et hakochavim. So I want to ask you something. Again, if I ask you right now, Joseph, go outside, count the stars, what are you going to tell me?
There's too many.
It's impossible. There's too many, right? It's impossible. If I tell anybody, even if I tell an astrologer in NASA with the most sophisticated equipment, count for me the stars, what is he going to tell you? It's impossible. There's billions and billions and billions of stars. I don't think I can humanly do it. What does Abraham say? Nothing. He walks outside and he's ready. He's ready to count the stars. As a matter of fact, the Kadosh Baruch Hu takes him above the stars and he shows them all to him. In other words, Abraham's mentality, nothing is impossible. You want me to count the stars? Okay, let's start. Let's go. As a matter of fact, Rashi on that spot says, he says that, what did he show him? He shows him that he's ma'al mazalot. Ma'al. What's the world is governed by the zodiac. You should know that. There is a law of planets controlling certain days, certain time, certain happenings. It is. It's the laws of nature. They are in effect. And they affect people that go by the law of nature. Us Jews, we are above the luck. We are above the zodiac. That's why he took Abraham on top. He says, if you're with me, none of this controls you. Everything that has to do with you is directly with me. But if you're not with me, go down. I already have a plan B. The stars, the zodiac, this, that. If you want, more than welcome to. But what do we learn from over here? That when Avraham Avinu was asked the question, can you count the stars? He stepped outside, he's ready. That's the DNA, that's the seed of nothing is impossible for a Jew. 12 brothers going to fight an army, let's do it. Avraham and Eliezer going to fight, let's do it. Where did we get that from? Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu. The nothing is impossible mentality.
Even nowadays, with the 6-day war, and then
even nowadays, 6-day war, wars, just to roll out the equipment takes months. Over here, we had a war, a fight, resistance, defeat, and a flag raised, Am Yisrael Chai, in 6 days. Unheard of. Unheard of. I'll give you another example of Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim. Just so you can, it's like we're doing an exercise now, that later on, every time you read this year, when you're reading the Parashat Shavua, you have to always put this master key, Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim. What are they doing that changed my life? What are they doing that changed history? What are they doing that we see that they set it up? It's like, it's an alley-oop. You ever watch basketball? Alley-oop. You give it the master and the other guy dunk. Or in soccer, they kick from the corner and then the guy comes with the header. That's what it is. The fathers, they gave us the alley-oop and go score. I gave you the assist. So we see over here that there's another Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim. Where do we see it? When we got out of Mitzrayim, right? Because again, I want to talk about the same thing. Mitzrayim, when Sarah was being captive in Mitzrayim. Then also Bavel. What's Bavel? That's what Nimrod was the king of Bavel, right? He was the king of that area. So let's talk about those two places, Mitzrayim and Bavel. When the Jewish people got out of Mitzrayim, the famous Yetziat Mitzrayim, where did that lead us to? To receive the Torah. Torah, which Torah? Shebechtav. The written Torah. Bavel, Avraham Avinu went over there and he decimated the kings over there in order to for what? What was he doing in Bavel? Over there is where all the Torah Shebe'al Peh comes out. As a matter of fact, what do we call the Gemara? Talmud Bavli, right? The Talmud from Babel, the Babylonian tractates, right? So we have over here Mitzrayim, they left Mitzrayim, over there they got Torah Shebechtav. Avraham Avinu went to Bavel, and from there, what do we have in Bavel? Torah shebe'al peh. That's the Gemara, that's the Mishnayot. What's he doing in there? Planting seeds. Planting seeds for us. Ma'aseh avot siman lebanim. As a matter of fact, this entire concept that we're learning right now, the smartest man in the world, Shlomo HaMelech, said something very interesting about it. In Kohelet, it says over there in the third perek, in the 8th pasuk, Et milchama, et shalom. What's et milchama, et shalom? There's a time for war, and there's a time for peace. Just like I tell my children sometimes, when they're doing something that is not correct, there's a time to play, and there's a time to rest. There's a time to eat, and there's a time to sleep. There's a time to be happy, and there's a time to cry. There's a time and place for everything. So on this pasuk, et milchama, et shalom, there's a time to fight, and there's a time for peace. What's the difference? When do you pray? When do you pray? When is et shalom? Shalom is tefillah. When you're physically threatened. When is it et milchama? When is it the time to fight? When you're threatened spiritually. Anytime somebody wants to take the Judaism out of you, fight. Anytime that somebody wants to kill you, pray. Having said that, something very interesting. All these trials and victories that are in this parasha of Lech Lecha and VaYera, Avraham is trailblazing a new path. You know what's trailblazing? It's the first person to create a path. Like for example, sometimes you go to an area where it's very barren, or let's just say you see you go to a desert and there's nothing. It's all like mountain, and then there's that first person that walks, that first person that creates that line. That's a trailblazer. That's Avraham Avinu. He was the first one to create the path for us. And what is the path that he's creating? He's creating he created for himself, for his children, and for all the generations to come up until to us today. As a matter of fact, a small little chidush from Purim, only because we mentioned it. There's Zeresh, the wife of Haman, asks him a question one time. She tells him, I hope I can quote it correctly, Zorea mizera Yehudi Mordechai, or Mordechai mizera Yehudi. She's asking him a question, is Mordechai from the seed of the Jews? I thought in the Megillah that was such a silly question. Of course he's Jewish. The whole story is about Haman versus the Jews. That's first of all. And Mordechai, the most famous Jew, the Gdol Hador. There was nobody bigger than Mordechai. Why would Zeresh, the wife of Haman, who clearly knows the answer, ask this question? He says, you know why? Because when you take the words Zera Yehudim, what's Zera Yehudim? From the seed of the Jews. She said, no, read it differently. Is he Zorea HaYudim? Is he one of those Jews that plant seeds for them and they have Yeshua and they can get out of it? For example, we have Avraham. He got into the fire. Anytime somebody gets into the fire, Hashem saved me like Avraham got saved from the fire. You have Yosef that went to jail. Hashem saved me like he took Yosef out of jail. We have Moshe Rabbeinu that had the sword on his neck. Hashem saved me like Moshe had the sword on his neck and he saved. In other words, there's always been a Jew in history who was faced with a challenge and he got out of it, and we can depend on them, that they trailblazed a way for us to get out of it. So what do we have over here? What does she ask him? Haim Mizera Yehudim, is he from the one that plants? Why is she asking that? Because she looked in the black magic and in the sorcery, and she says, I never found a Jew that got hung. I never found anyone that a Jew was able to get away from hanging. So go hang him, and that's why Haman got that 50-foot and 50 amot piece of wood tree to hang him, because she saw nobody ever got out of hanging. So this guy is not. But then she said, but is he the one that's going to plant the seed that he's going to get out of the hanging also, and the Jews forever and ever will be able to get away from it as well? Always in history have Jews that have been planted for us, ways to get out of it. As a matter of fact, they say that there's no more Yeshuot after Esther. After Esther, there's no more like this. There's no more miracles. And we say, but it's not true. I
Every day.
had a miracle every day. Exactly. I heard of a miracle last week.
Yes.
There's a miracle right now with the rocket over somebody's house that he got saved. She says, no. Esther, she opened all of them. She opened all of them. Any type of Yeshua that could have come out, Esther already opened up for us. You don't have to worry about it. We don't have to wait for every single thing to come out. Esther was the last one that with her the Yeshua finished because she opened up all the Yeshua without having to wait. Now, what is so unique about what we just learned right now is that why would God invest so much in Avraham Avinu? At the end of the day, there's something very unique over here. We have a human being who is able to reach very high levels of closeness with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And not only that, he is right now, like we said, Maseh Avot Siman Lebanim. But what is Hashem's investment in that Avraham? Because at the end of the day, Avraham is human. He's here today, gone tomorrow, right? So to continue again on the Maseh Avot Siman Lebanim, look what it says over here in Perek Yud Chet, Pasuk Yutet. He says, Ki dativ. This is Hashem speaking. Because I know him. Leman asher yetzaveh et banav ve'et beto acharav. He says, because this guy, Avraham, he's going to command his children and the house and the houses after him, v'shamru derech Hashem, to keep the ways of Hashem. La'asot tzedakah u'mishpat, to do justice and kindness in the world. He says, you know why I'm invested in this guy? You know what I'm giving in the bracha? Uyele goy gadol v'atzuv v'nivrechu bo kol hagoyim, all the brachot that Avraham Avinu got. Avraham got some heavy duty brachot. He got everything. He got everything. Avraham Avinu got everything. Why did he give it to him? He says, because this guy, Avraham Avinu, our great grandfather, he is the one that was entrusted to take his teachings, to take his thinking, to his way of life, the way that he carried himself, and to pass it on to who? To his children, to his home. And they're going to pass it on for generation to generation, for generation to generation. So there will be justice, and there will be, hold on, let's see what they said over here, Yutet. There will be charity and justice in the world, which Hashem loves. Justice, emet. There's nothing like emet. Charity, helping out another person. Now, Hashem, the same promise that he gave Avraham Avinu, that he says that he's going to make him into a multitude of nations, that he's going to give him all the riches in the world, that he's going to be above the luck, he'll be like the stars and like the sand, and all the different things that he promises. Maseh Avot, what belonged to the fathers, Siman Lebanim, belongs to us as well. We, till today, the blessings that we receive from the heavens are in his account. He has the AAA credit. He has the 900 or 800 credit score. He is the one with the black Amex. He's the one, the never-ending credit card of Zchuyot that we keep cashing in on. Because of what he did in that time for himself, for his family, and everybody else, we today are still cashing in on it. Now, there's one last pasuk that I want to end with that is very, very important. It says that he is blessed and the whole world is going to be blessed through him. In other words, him, Avraham, and his children are going to be blessed. And through his children being blessed, the rest of the world will be blessed. That's how much they don't know. They're going against us. If they were just with us, they'd be blessed. They'd have everything they need. They'd have their cars, they'd have their homes, they'd have everything. But because they're going against us, they're not getting it. It says over here, if they, whoever blesses the Jew or Avraham is blessed, whoever curses them is cursed. But it says over here in Kavbet Yudchet that all this boils down to one thing. Everything that we're talking about over here boils down to one thing. It says, וידברכו בזרעך כל גויי הארץ. He says the whole of existence is going to be blessed because of your children. That means the billions and billions and billions of people that are on this planet can be blessed by the few million of the Jews. How? עקב אשר שמעת בקולי. What's עקב אשר שמעת בקולי? עקב אשר שמעת בקולי is on the condition that you listened or you hearkened to my voice, to my words. In other words, when you are going in the ways of Hashem, when you're going in the ways of Torah, mitzvot, ma'asim tovim, all the promises come true. All the promises come true. But when you don't, that's when things become complicated. By the way, there's a little secret over here. How many years was Avraham Avinu alive for?
50. 190.
How old was Avraham Avinu?
137.
No, when he passed away.
137.
No.
190.
Okay, it's 175. He passed away at 175 years old. But he tells Avraham, Ekev asher shamata bekoli. What is Ekev sheshamata bekoli? If you take the gematria of Ekev, it's 172. He says, why? Because for 172 years, you listen to my voice. Why? Where's those 3 years? 3 years he's a baby. When did Avraham Avinu discover Hashem? At the age of 3. For 170 years, you listen to my voice. That's why you get all these blessings. In conclusion, this lesson that we're learning here of Maaseh Avon, Siman Lebanim, press record. Press record. Start to, register in your mind everything that our forefathers are doing. Whatever Abraham is doing, pay attention. Whatever Yitzchak is doing, pay attention. Whatever Yaakov is doing, pay attention. It's your blueprint. It's your map to your life. He had a problem with his daughter. How did he act? He had a problem with his brother. How did he act? He had a problem with his enemy. How did he act? He had a problem with business. How did he act? How? Everything is here. Just pay attention. Our life coaches are beginning to appear. Little by little, you're going to start to see Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron. They're starting to show up. All you have to do is learn from them. You don't have to, go too far to all the life coaches that are here. Everything that they're doing right now is they're regurgitating what we know. It's amazing. Some of the biggest $1 million selling books right now, positive psychology and all this different things that's out there. What are they teaching? Jewish concepts. Everything that they're preaching is something that's basics. A 2-year-old, a 3-year-old is learning that in Jewish school. So to sum up a few lessons that we learned from just taking 2 events from Avraham Avinu's life. The first few lessons, the first and foremost is, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. We're in the hands of Hashem. If you're with Hashem, there's nothing impossible for Hashem. Nothing impossible for Hashem. We see it. Nothing is impossible. They come after our body, pray. They come after our spirituality, fight. Everything is hinged. Everything that we spoke about, all the good things that we want, is hinged on our service of Hashem. You're not going to listen to Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's going to be very, very difficult for you to activate all these beautiful things that we're reading about in the parasha. And there's also many, 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 many more lessons that we did not mention. In this week's Parashat VaYera, if you go from beginning to end, just off the top of my head, I can tell you, you're going to find Achnasat Orchim, bringing in guests. How do you do it? who's the master of Achnasat Orchim. Chesed, the master of being kind. Avraham Avinu. Tzniut, what's the way to, Avraham Avinu rarely looked at his wife. His wife was one of the most beautiful women. I'm not saying that that's the way we should carry ourselves, but that tzniut between the husband and the wife is unheard of. It's unheard of what's going on over here. The Shmirat Einayim, Avraham Avinu, they say, used to walk with his eyes down. Because in the parasha you see, Vayisa Enav. Every single time you see Avraham Avinu, it says Vayisa Enav. Every time he has to pick up his head. Yeah, every time he has to pick up his head. Why? Shmirat Einayim. He didn't just go like this, whatever comes in, look. He didn't want to look, 4 feet in front of him where he needs to go. And when he needs to lift up his eyes, he picks up his eyes. No, so many lessons in this week's parasha. Shlom Bayit, Chinuch Yeladim, the peace in the home, how to educate your children. We see over here of how Sarah treated with Ishmael, how she treated with Yitzchak, how to make kosher money, how he didn't want to accept special gifts, Brit Milah, prayers, Rizut, how every time Hashem asked him for something, Vayashkem, Avraham Baboker. Everything was first to rise to get things done. Akedat Yitzchak, the challenge, going through so many challenges, and on the 10th challenge, how not even no left, no right, no balking, right away, whatever you want. There were so many lessons to be learned over here. Press record. Press record on the life lessons of Avraham Avinu and all the Avot to come. And don't forget, Maaseh Avot, Siman Lebanim. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.